I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your friend Mr. BDA, and I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one. Flying solo for the moment. A very special episode, another BDA seminar for everybody. We're going to be looking at a potential Terence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao mega fight. So we're doing it again, guys. We started off with Charlo Derevchenko. Then we moved on to... Yeah, that was about it, right? That was the Charlo Derevchenko. We did a little preview. And we're going to do it again with, of course, visual cues, a couple of GIFs. We're going to run through the weaknesses, the strengths. And this episode is going to be focusing on Crawford. So that's the first party involved in this. And that's what we're going to do. I see Gonzalo is in the chat room. I'm pretty sure he wants in on this one. So just tell me, Gonzalo, if you want in. Because I tried creating a group here. It didn't work. But then again, if I call you... whatever. I'll call Gonzalo. Yeah, Butch is not in right now. He's going to be coming in later on. Guys, don't forget. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Going over to the PayPal page or the Patreon page as well. If you get a couple of shekels, you can give us, or you can certainly give us those shekels via the super chat feature. But the most important thing is that you continue to support BDA by listening, spreading the BDA gospel, and letting all those heathens and unbelievers hear, listen, educate them about the new ministry. Also, we are on Spotify now. That's right. Butcher just reminded me of that one. What a coincidence. We're on Spotify now. So fellas, check it out. Spotify. I don't have the link now here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the description. If not, Butcher will put it there. And that's about it, guys. Thank you for joining us. Let's give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. The aforementioned King Bucho, Saint Brit Sports, Lobito, aka Gonzalo, Subash Kunwar, BOKS, that's Box, Virtuoso, Brown Gun 1AA, DJN1, Carlos Mendoza, and many more to come, I'm sure. Guys, thank you for joining us. All right, Butcher says it's in the description. Fantastic. I see we got Gonzalo here. Gonzalo, are you there?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. BDA?
Good, man. You know what? Let me Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hang up this call, and because I can't create a group with just you and me here, so I'm gonna disconnect, and I'm gonna be calling you again soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that, fellas. These are the ways of the world now. All right, here we go. So how do I start this group? Direct messages, Gonzalo. Call him here. No, that's not gonna work. Bucho, I don't know how to create a group, man. How do I create a group with this? I think I need to invite somebody else. Invite to server, remove friend. Anyway, listen, if anybody wants to come in, anybody else, any of the regulars, Stu, Recognize the Matrix, Unrivaled, I mean, just, anybody that's been on the Discord, anybody that's on the Discord, come on in and we'll get this done. All right, fellas? All right, Butch is telling me to call a bunch of people at the same time. Yeah, but how do I call? I can't. Butch, I don't know how
I'm back in.
Yeah, I know you're back. Yeah, I see you're back in there. But Butch is telling me, hey, call people at the same time. No, but see, if I call somebody else, Bucho, it sends me to another call. Yeah. All right, hold on a second. Yeah, sorry about this, fellas. This Discord thing, really. Now, if I have another group, though, how do I call everybody in the group? That's what I'm trying to get at here. Message, mention, profile, add friend, invite to server. All right, Bucho, I don't know how to do this, man. That's why I wanted to call you first, but anyway, listen, I'm going to start this off with Gonzalo, and then we'll see how we proceed, all right? But Gonzalo, we're going to do another episode like the one we did with Charles Devrachenko. You were there for those two, right? I forget.
I was there for the first one, I believe. Maybe for a little bit of the second one.
Okay, yeah. It seemed like... okay, I got... Haha. Hold on a second, Gonzalo. I think I know how to...
Okay.
I think I know how to start this call with everybody else. Hold on, I'll disconnect again. Yep. How do I end this? No, okay. Gonzalo's still there. Okay, I think I now I know how to do it, Bucho. I think now I know how to do it. There we go. All right, so Gonzalo, I know you're still listening. Just answer, and you'll be right in. And Bucho, if you can send the link to this group, I don't know if you can access it, but I'm gonna send it to you anyway, so you can send it to Gmail. All right, Gonzalo, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. All right, perfect. Now this works out. Fantastic. All right, thank you guys for having patience with us on this one.
You had an aha moment, VDA.
Yeah, I don't have many of those anymore in my old age. My old age is I forgot this, I forgot that. Anyway, so listen, Gonzalo, we're going to be doing this on the Pacquiao-Crawford fight. It's supposedly they're talking about how it still might happen, although I'm looking at TalkSport here. It's a website, and it says Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook talks underway for November showdown. Manny Pacquiao fight remains first choice. So they're talking about a Kell Brook fight, a Terence Crawford Kell Brook fight, but they're still intent on trying to make a Crawford Pacquiao fight. Now I gotta ask you, Gonzalo, before we get into that, into the intricacies of the fight, which one would you like to see first? A Pacquiao Crawford
to happen.
Yeah.
If both were to happen, I would rather see the Pacquiao fight first. Pacquiao's 41 going on 42 on January.
It's true. That's very true. Yeah, that makes sense, man. Makes a lot of sense. Because, yeah, why would, Kell Brook is what, 33, 34? I'm going to go ahead and assume. So,
34, I think.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing I want to do here with you, Gonzalo. Because last time I had Mark on, and I was sharing the screen, and he said he couldn't see it. So he could see it, but Discord changed things now here. So if I want to share my screen, you have to click on it to watch it. And apparently, you can't listen to me at the same time. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen here, and you can see the article right there. Gonzalo?
Trying.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
And you can still hear me, right?
I can, yes.
All right, fantastic. All right, that's about it then. Now we're on. Now we can get going here. All right. So yeah, so they're talking about Crawford versus Kell Brook. Kell Brook is how old is he anyway? Let's see. Just curious, just to get us started here. But we're going to be taking a look at Terence Crawford. Now, Terence Crawford, Gonzalo, a very controversial character on this show because I'm one of the few, well, not one of the few, but I'm one of those that believes that he is an all-star. He is a pound-for-pounder. Of course, some people disagree whether he should be pound-for-pound number one. I certainly disagree with that. But the main question is, how good is he? Is he really pound-for-pound number one? Or is he about to get annihilated the first time he steps in there with somebody who's good? By the way, Kell Brook is 34. So he's no spring chicken either. No spring chicken. Terence Crawford, I believe, according to Ring Magazine, is rated number 4 pound for pound. Okay, they moved him down. I thought he was number 2. Number 3 is Inoue. Number 2 is Vasil Lomachenko. And number 1, Canelo Alvarez. All right, so before we start looking at Terence Crawford here, Gonzalo, how would you rate Terence Crawford as a fighter? Is he from 1 to 10? Is he a 10? Is he one of those guys that's going to be very difficult to beat? Or do you think it's just a question of him stepping up against a fellow pound-for-pounder before he gets, dare I say, exposed?
Wow. Well, I'm a little bewildered by why a lot of people would underrate him. Definitely because he hasn't fought the welterweights. It's a valid point, but I would consider him a very difficult. I would rank him really high, around the 9 in my opinion.
You will rank him very high. Okay, yeah. Now, what are some of the things that you think make him a very dangerous opponent?
The fact that he's ambidextrous, he's very versatile. The fact that he only might be 5'8", but he's got a middleweight reach because his arms are really long.
Uh-huh.
The fact that he's very difficult, like you mentioned, because he's very gritty or cagey. He likes to fight. He will fight. He will dig down deep, and he will battle back when he needs to. The fact that he's got good ring IQ and is a pretty precise puncher and can hit the target pretty accurately. And he seems to have carried enough power to where he's knocking people out. He hasn't really even been in a competitive fight. When it comes down to how fighters are being competitive and they usually go the distance, yeah, he took out Benavidez in the 11th or 12th round. He knocked out the fighter that fought Pacquiao, the guy from Australia, I forget his name, and he's been knocking people out. So they might say, oh, he's been in competitive fights. I'll have to say no, because he's been able to knock the fighters out.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, we're going to start with the presentation, man, because I think you made a great synopsis of Terence Crawford, the criticisms that people have thrown at him. And by the way, guys, phone lines are open, so if you want to call in and as we go along, you can call in and tell us about that. Gerald Jones says, I can't get in on Discord. Butcho, if you have the time, could you just talk him through it on the chat? Because I want Gerald on this one. He's a very knowledgeable guy, so it would be fantastic if he could be on board. It's pretty easy to do, Gerald. It's just sign up for Discord, click on the link, and that's about it. Bada bim, bada boom. Doesn't take a lot of time. It takes a couple of seconds to create a Discord account. All right, Gonzalo, let's get this party started, man. Hold on a second. PowerPoint. All right. I'm going to share the PowerPoint with Gonzalo here. Hold on a second. So you can clearly see the presentation here. Hey, wait a minute. That's not it. By the way, guys, phone lines are open. I might put a StreamYard link as well. Have a little fun. All right, Gonzalo, just to confirm, can you click on the screen and still hear me, or I can still hear you at the same time? Let's do a little test.
The PowerPoint went away. Let me go try to see.
The one that says Terence Crawford. Actually, now I'm going to change it. It's supposed to be Manny Pacquiao versus Terence Crawford. There we go. Can you see it? And can you...
I can't see the PowerPoint any longer.
How about now? Gonzalo, I'm going to need an answer there. Gonzalo.
I can't see the PowerPoint any longer.
You don't see 3 screens here in the Discord?
Well, I was seeing them, but it just went away all of a sudden.
Okay, let me share that one again. I don't know what's going on here, man, with Discord.
Okay.
All right, and keep talking so I know if I can hear you when you click on the screen, because that was the main point of contention.
I'm not gonna mute it any longer. I'm gonna remove.
Yes, please.
It's pretty quiet here where I'm. No, the screen went away. I can't recover it. I'm trying to press on the BDA on your name. Not going to it.
All right, you know what? Go get out of the stream and come back in now, and I think you'll be able to see it then.
Okay, I think.
Meanwhile, let's take a call while Gonzalo is doing this. All right, 954, you're on the air. 954.
Hey, BDA, it's Jay from 954. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've sent out my Discord thing to you. I'm not tech savvy. I don't have any clue what I'm doing, so I don't know how to actually do this. So I thought I'd call in instead.
Oh, you're Jay, you said, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you here. Yeah, hold on. See if I can. I'll send you the. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send you a link, and all you got to do is click on set link, and then you can join the stream here. All right, hold on a second.
Okay, I'm back on.
Phone here, but I'll get on the Discord through your link, right?
Yeah, that's right. All right.
Okay, let me. There, got it.
All right, fantastic. All right, Gonzalo, how about now? Can you still see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Fantastic. And now we got Gerald or Jay. I forget. I think it was Gerald Jay. Anyway, let's call him Jay, which is what he was.
Gerald's my legal name that I use through my Gmail account, but I go by Jay. So
Jay.
Thanks for letting me in, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, no problem. I'm gonna hang up on you, by the way, on the phone line there. Guys, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen that I'm sharing here that says Pacquiao versus Terence Crawford?
Yeah.
Jay, how about you?
Don't know yet. Let me see. I just got on new message. Let me click on that and see what happens. Not at the moment, but then again, I also don't know how to use Discord. I'm kind of an old guy. I'm not very tech savvy.
So you fellas don't see the screen that I'm sharing that says Manny Pacquiao versus Terence Crawford, the BDA preview?
I am.
Hold on. Watch stream.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, fantastic. All right, perfect. Because that's what I'm going to be showing you guys here for the presentation. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right, hold on a second. Before we proceed, we got another phone call here. Let's see what's going on here. 773, you're on the air. 773. What's up?
Manny Pacquiao versus Crawford. How I see this fight going down is...
No hello, how you doing? Just straight to the point. Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
Straight to the point. Manny Pacquiao likes to dart in and out. A lot of explosive movements. So I feel like Crawford, it may be dangerous for Crawford in the early rounds, but I see Crawford wearing him down. I see Manny Pacquiao fading late. And if Manny doesn't get a couple knockdowns in the early rounds, and I see him either fading, getting finished late, or Crawford running away on the scorecards. What do you think of that breakdown?
All right, so you think Pacquiao's age is going to catch up to him, and he's going to get blasted?
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao he uses a lot of energy with his big, explosive darting in and out. Crawford's tight, compact, real. He's tactical. He doesn't explode like Manny Pacquiao does. So I think that'll favor him in the long run. I see Pacquiao fading out just like he did against Thurman. He slowed down a lot, and I see Crawford either finishing him or just running away on the scorecards. What do you guys think? Take it easy.
All right. Oh, and then the complimentary fart at the end. All right, thanks for calling, Kevin. All right, so that's one point of view there. That's one point of view of one person believing that Pacquiao is or would wilt against Terence Crawford. So let's go ahead and start this little presentation. Guys on Discord, if you could click on it, that way you can see all of it, I believe. And try to talk so as to see if I can still hear you once you click on it, because apparently we were having some trouble last time about people not being able to hear people that were actually clicked on the screen. Okay?
So you gotta click on the screen to talk?
No. You just click on it so that you can see all of it.
Yeah, I got you. You got his record up right now. The Ricky Burns, a 3-time champ, Gimbo, a 3-time champ, Beltran, the eventual champ. Yeah, this is like a solid resume that a lot of people, especially in certain boxing chat rooms, trash. Solid fighter, undefeated. Like the one of the gentlemen pointed out earlier, one of the best switch hitters I've ever seen in boxing in my lifetime and that goes back a ways, mind you. This is not a far-fetched scenario the man's come up with. That Father Time is undefeated when it comes time to boxers, and Manny could start off strong and fade late. And Terence is hungry. He wants a major win to prove the fact he belongs with everybody, especially with all the PBC constantly shutting him out. So I can actually see him taking this fight extremely seriously, but letting Manny start strong so he can finish late. It's not an unforeseen scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's 40. He's 41, going on to 41.
41.
Yeah. Now, Gonzalo, you mentioned the Jeff Horn win. Now, Jeff Horn beat one of you. Gonzalo, you mentioned. I mean, Jeff Horn beat the aforementioned Pacquiao. Of course, it was a bizarre fight where the ref basically let him do whatever he wanted. How good do you think Terence Crawford's win over Jeff Horn was?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good because Jeff Horn's a big welterweight.
Yep.
And although he's crude, he's still rough and tumble, and he was able to knock him out in the 9th round. So it's still a pretty good victory. We'll throw in there the Igedikis Kavalyuskas win also.
Yeah, because at welterweight, let's face the facts here, Crawford's resume is a little bit thin. And Jeff Horn seems to be one of the best ones by virtue of his win over Pacquiao. But then again, Jeff Horn did end up losing to Michael Sarafa, the male stripper. Although Sarafa did give Kell Brook a tough fight, so maybe it's not that bad a loss, but he did lose by TKO. So was Jeff Horn a flash in the pan whose the referee helped him get that win over Pacquiao, or is he a solid opponent?
Well, I don't necessarily think the ref helped. I don't think he should have won that fight regardless. It was rough and tumble, and there were a lot of clashes of heads, but I don't necessarily consider them headbutts because you had orthodox and lefty heads clash together when that happens. Doesn't matter how dirty the fighter is, heads clash. When I boxed, I'm a southpaw. I had a lot of head clashes when I was coming up because I fought a bunch of righties. But there were some elbows and stuff going both ways. It was a rough fight, but I don't think most of it was intentional. At the end of the day, though, I didn't see what Horn did to win that fight, as many other people didn't, and that's what hurts his legitimacy in that the most. Is that basically people consider him a paper champion, and that was basically minus a worn and torn Amir Khan. Those are the two biggest names he has on his resume to most casuals, and so that's why people think his resume is thin, and that's why they don't give him a lot of credit. But it's how he beat all these guys. He switched stances. I mean, what Jeff Horn went all the way towards middleweight not too long later, right? So he was a naturally bigger man because Crawford comes from lightweight, and he still knocked him out.
It's a good point.
So he's taking on bigger guys.
It's a good point. That's a very good point. I mean, and I've said so in different ways that, okay, yeah, his resume, he might not have a Sean Porter in there or even a Kell Brook, but the guys that he's fighting, they're solid dudes, and he's been pretty dominant. I mean, there are some jarring weaknesses that we're going to take a look at, but for the most part, and this is what I enjoy the most about Terence Crawford, is most of the time he's stopping guys. He's not just, cruising to a decision. What did you guys think, though, just to explore the Pacquiao-Horn fight, did you guys see the Aratorius video where he highlighted all the shenanigans that went on in that one?
I haven't seen that highlight of it yet.
Gonzalo, have you seen it?
I don't think I have. I don't think I have seen the Artorias, specifically the Pacquiao Horn video that you're.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it's a video that he did. I don't know if it's still up though, but he highlighted what Jeff Horn got away with: elbows, headbutts, a lot of clinching, a lot of hitting and clinching and hitting. So it was a bizarre fight. I think it was a bizarre fight. Yeah.
Clinching and hitting is a gray area because a lot of places that a lot of referees will let you work your way out of the clinch. Now, if you're grabbing the arm and then hitting, that's a different foul. If you're protecting yourself because you're dazed and there's a free hand, and the rest is work your way out. I'll allow Richards to work your way out to initiate your break. And it seems like in Australia, which is where that fight was taking place. But if you're continually grabbing a guy for the purpose of hitting them in the head, that's usually behind the head is where the referees usually draw that line.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a gray area. But it's still, I mean, it went on a little bit too much. If you watch the video, it's not a doctor video. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I saw the fight. I know it went on a lot, but at the same time, it's still like a gray area because was Manny also using his free hand a lot when they were in clinches? Then turnabout's fair play.
Yeah. Yeah, but poor Manny Pacquiao, he's very inept on the inside. He doesn't know what he's doing in there. Although, yeah.
No, I'm just laughing at you entertained me with that one. Go ahead.
Well, it's not. I'll tell you what's more entertaining. This PowerPoint I got. Let's get to it. Okay, so.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Where was I? All right, we got Terence Crawford here. Now, here's the depressing part about Crawford's resume. You look at his best wins. Ricky Burns, Gamboa, Beltran, Postal. Those were 4 or 5 years ago at the most. Jeff Warren, Benavides.
His Kavaluskas win was pretty good. Last recent.
Yeah, most people don't find it all that great, though. I think it's a good, solid win against a very strong opponent, especially undefeated. But most people felt that Kavaluskas was a nobody.
Well, yeah. I mean, they probably didn't follow enough to realize what a prospect he was at the time. And a lot of casuals don't follow the prospect side of a fighter's record. They just look at the end result. Oh, he didn't win a title. He wasn't that good.
Exactly.
Those are your casuals.
Yeah.
But something that said here about Terence Crawford's record about some of these guys. When's the last time Danny Garcia checked?
You cut off there, Jay.
For Terence Crawford.
You cut off. Could you please repeat what you said?
Okay, so we're talking about his wins being 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, but what they don't do is hold the whole division
accountable. Yeah. Yeah,
Fox is mentioning that he got dropped in the. We all know he got dropped, even though they didn't count it. He still won the fight clearly. I mean, if you get dropped, it's no big deal. It's how you respond. He got up and he fight.
Oh, you talking about?
Yeah, who gives a shit if you got dropped? I mean, if that's why you don't want to put him in your top pound for pound list, who cares? I mean, that's up to everybody's point of view. I mean, but as far as him fighting back in that particular fight against that one opponent, he dominated him because he was able to knock his ass out, drop him like 2 times, beat him down, and take him out within like 8 rounds.
Absolutely, man. It's something that people overlook. People like to go on the box rec and not watch the actual fights, and they don't they don't focus on the actual substance that there is about a certain fighter. With Terence Crawford, it's a good resume. I like how he's been beating people up. Now let's look at his strengths, though, because again, that's what the important thing here. That's the important thing. He's got good footwork. I think his counterpunching is excellent. He's got good power, which I think people overlook. Like Jay mentioned, the switch hitting is off the charts. I mean, this is something that it's not easy to do, especially at the world-class level, and this guy seems to pull it off seamlessly. He's got
to me, that should be his number one strength is the switch hitting, because the only person that did it better in my lifetime that I remember was Marvin Hagler.
Yeah, that's, you know what? I was thinking about this when I was writing this list. I couldn't remember anybody else that, or I don't know any other switch hitters as good as Hagler and Crawford. Maybe you guys could enlighten me. Is there anybody out there, or maybe somebody in the chat room too, who deserves to be in this type of class of switch hitting?
Nah, most would like to try and switch hit early, but he wasn't that good. And Floyd tried it a little bit at junior lightweight, but he really just put his right foot forward and squared his shoulders. I haven't seen a switch hitter like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Not since Hagler.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's incredible the way he does it. Really underrated in certain aspects. Let me just read the chat room real quick. By the way, guys, don't forget the the phone lines are open, so you can call in. I want to see what. Okay, Pat just says most people said Kavaluskas got a gift versus Ray Robinson. Yeah, but Ray Robinson's really coming to his own lately, so I don't fault him too much for that. Carlos Mendoza says, "Do you think Crawford can be undisputed at 147? Well, if he gets the right opponents, of course. Well, Mike P just donated with a super chat. Shout out to Mike P. And he says, hope all is well and hope Loma happens. I think he means Loma Lopez happens. What are the thoughts? Will it or will it not? Well, first of all, thank you, Mike P, for your contribution. And I do believe Bob Arum is going to try to maybe, even though he won't like it, he'll try to make the fight happen if he has to dispense a little bit more money. I think that's what's going to happen. And hopefully it does happen, because that's one of the best fights that's the number one fight that I've been wanting to see so far. Actually, maybe not the number one fight, but one of the top. All right. So shout out to Mike P for his contribution. Okay, so where are we at here with this? Okay, so those are his strengths. Terence Crawford's strengths. Oh, and the variety of attack. I like when he finally decides to open up with combinations. They come from all angles. And it's really something that seems to overwhelm his opponents, especially when they're withered and he's been beating them down. And then he pulls out the combos. That's when these guys aren't able. Case in point, Jeff Horn, Kavaliuskas, as we're going to see later on as well. Jeff Horn, which I already mentioned, I think. Benavides, too. I think he opened up with combos after he dropped him. So, very good combinations. Very good combinations. Now, let's see some examples here. Go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
One thing that I had mentioned, and this is just my perception, I might not be totally exact about this, but he in my opinion, likes to mirror what the opponent does. If he's in a tough fight with the fighter that's jabbing and coming in and out like Postal was, he'll try to do the same. And if that fighter's outworking him at that particular ability, he has the option to go into his bag of tricks and change it up to where he can ultimately defeat you. But he can mirror, he can emulate the style of a boxer, whether it means stepping on the gas or holding or pumping the brakes and just continuing tit for tat at the speed that you're going at what you're doing. He can play you at that game, but then he can also switch it up.
It's a great point, Gonzalo. That's a great point because what's his name? Postal is a classic European stand-up fighter with a couple of wrinkles added by Freddie Roach, and he wanted to fight Crawford from the outside. He wanted Crawford to come to him. Crawford said, I'm going to stay on the outside. And it made for an uneventful fight, but it worked, you know? Even though some people on this panel, or in the BDA panel overall, some people felt that Postal lost that fight, but nevertheless, Crawford got the win. Or against Kavaliuskas, like you said, Gonzalo, when he was sort of getting outboxed from the outside a little bit, and he decided to start walking the stronger, or seemingly stronger men down. So Crawford suddenly seems to have more than one dimension to him. That's for sure. All right. So here I'm trying to highlight the footwork of Crawford, which also plays into his defense. Somebody had made a video on YouTube called something along the lines of Crawford, the man without a guard, the fighter without a guard, something like that. And I agreed, because you usually don't see him putting his hands up and just blocking shots or, that type of conventional defense with his gloves. He tends to use his legs as his defense, meaning doing what he does here, just stepping away and then circling or pivoting away or countering later on. And he doesn't really move his head either a lot, like a Canelo Alvarez, for example, who's constantly moving the head, slipping jabs and right hands, looking like the Matrix in there, which is really lovely to see. But this seems to be just as effective, maybe a little less, as we're going to see later on. Guys, what do you think about Crawford's footwork?
He's pretty, he's not, he doesn't move a whole lot. Yeah, that's interesting. But he's just in position where he can punch, and right there, he's kind of like scooting back a la Pernell Whitaker, and that clip that you're showing, I'm not sure if everybody else can see that. So he's very composed, and he's very poised.
Yeah, it takes...
decent.
Yeah, it takes composure to do that. And he likes to lean back, too, a lot. Like we're going to see later on how he does the lean back counter. By the way, I see we got Mark on the panel. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Hi.
Hi, hey. Good to have you on board, Mark. By the way, hopefully we've resolved the issues we had on the last one. Can you see the screen I'm sharing?
I'm watching.
Oh, perfect. Fantastic. All right. Now we got a little something cooking here. You can't cook with cold grease, guys. You got to turn the stove on. That's what we're doing here. Jay, are you still there, by the way?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. And
Okay,
as a retired cook, I can tell you, you're right. Cold oil don't work.
Exactly. There you go. So,
Mark,
Mark,
go ahead.
Well, actually, no, yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm looking at your video, and he's at the southpaw stance in this one, fighting an orthodox fighter. So that explains some of the lean back because he's already got his lead foot to where he's going to be able to stunt the momentum. This looks like the Gamboa fight. Am I correct?
This one is the Khan fight.
Oh, the Khan fight. Okay, so
Yeah.
he's got a taller, longer limb guy, but he already knows he's got the advantage by keeping his lead foot out. That's why he just is able to lean back and doesn't have to use as much footwork. His footwork isn't as fleet as Mayweather's ever was, or as Lomachenko's, but it still gets him where he needs to be. What he likes to do is always make sure he's in punching angle. Like right there, even though he's backing away, he had a chance for the hook to the body or the head. He just chose to move instead. He was still in position to throw, whereas Khan was squared up.
That's a great point, man. That's a great point. Crawford is not a runner. He wants to move away, but just enough so he can still be in range to counter you. He's an offensive. He's a boxer puncher, consummate boxer puncher. He's not here to get on his bike and run.
Oh,
and just
he will box.
I have seen him off balance. I have seen him off balance in other clips, BD. Now that I recall.
Yeah, he's got flaws.
Well, he overcommits sometimes because he's a friend of mine puts it like this. He's got that dog in him, that dog that likes to fight. He can do a lot of things. He's like a more advanced version of Arturo Gatti, and here's what I mean by that. Gatti, the brawl, even though Gatti had good boxing skills. Gatti was not the level of Terence Crawford ever, but he was a better boxer than we realized, but he put to us because he liked the brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's the skill, but he likes to fight. He just likes to fight. That's the best way to describe him, in my opinion.
I agree with you. He's a guy that he could fight more often like he did against Postal, but he chooses to stay in there a little bit more, put himself at risk, but to counter with power. And then once he's got guys worn down, then he starts walking them down. I'm talking about the Dirigeant fight, Felix Diaz fight, the Kavaliuskas fight to a certain extent, although that was more out of necessity than actual, that wasn't a privilege he had. Mark, by the way, feel free to jump in whenever you want, and that goes for everybody. All right, as we continue this presentation.
One thing I love about what Crawford's doing here is like when he's leaning backward, right? He's on the turn. He's just turning on the ball of his foot. He's absorbing the shot, like he's absorbing all of his weight down on his back foot when he drops down, and that means that the angle's gotten longer for Khan because as he's turning from the straight jab, it automatically turns into Khan's having to go at an angle where his body's not lined up. So Crawford's created 4 inches of distance real easy for himself just in the split second. It's genuinely like really rare to see. It's like Whitaker. It really is.
Yeah, Gonzalo compared him to Whitaker earlier on, and it's true. I mean, it's part of ring generalship in a way. It's a minuscule little moment where he's the one dictating the pace and the distance of the fight. So that's what happens at the high level. These guys are able to set up this type of events, and ultimately it's end up accumulating into direct and very visible advantages. By the way, before we continue, we got a phone call. Let's just go through real quick. All right, 447. You're on the air. 447.
Hey, BJ, man, how you doing, dude?
Is this Kenshiro?
Yes, my friend, it is.
Oh, how you doing, man? Thank you for calling in, man. What's on your mind?
Oh, just a quick thing. I mean, like for me, I think personally the most important thing is which one of the two, forget the popularity, which one of the two, as in Pacquiao and Brooke, will actually give Crawford the bigger test. I understand one of your colleagues mentioned that, I heard somebody mention earlier on that, yes, Pacquiao could be good in the early rounds. It could potentially be in the later rounds. He fades or doesn't obviously keep up what he needs to, especially against someone like Crawford, especially when you look at his unfortunate track record like Jeff Horn. I mean, Brooke, he fights at 154. I mean, I think if Kell Brook can be the Kell Brook like against Sean Porter or, prior to the Triple G fight before he started getting his, orbital bones broken. Because for me, Pacquiao's done everything he needs to done. He's fought pretty much the best. He's had lots of victories. Brook, for him, he knows that if he did fight Crawford, potentially that could be last chance saloon because the Khan fight isn't going to happen because Khan's running away. So for Brook, there might be more of an incentive to actually do something. That's my opinion. But I'd like to hear your guys' opinions.
Well, actually, bottom line is, which one would you rather see first?
I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking personally, Brook. I'm being a bit biased, obviously being from England, but I'm thinking with Pacquiao. I personally would have thought if he wanted another belt, he should have really, in my opinion, should have fought. I think he would have had a better chance against Porter than Crawford. Crawford for me is just age-wise, you got Pacquiao, and that wars has been in. I'd rather, if I had a crystal ball and Pacquiao would win, then yeah, Pacquiao. But I just think if somebody has the bet, I guess Brook for me personally.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah. And you know what? We were talking about, well, Pacquiao is 41 or something like that, so he might deserve the fight better. Or it would actually be better for him to get it. But Brook is actually 34 years old. No spring chicken either, so he needs a big fight pronto.
Yeah.
I
mean, I remember obviously the I don't know if you've seen the video with Brook and when he was talking to the camera and Crawford's sister comes along and she tries to break Brook saying, "No, you're too little to fight my brother." And Brook afterwards laughed and said, "Does she realize who the hell I am? And I fight at 154. Her brother fights at 147." I don't know if you see that video on YouTube.
No, I haven't seen that one. What the fuck?
I missed that one too.
Yeah.
All right, listen.
Yeah.
I've seen that video. I've seen that video.
It happened, yeah.
All right, listen, Kenshiro, we have to move on with this presentation. Get on the Discord, man, because I don't want you wasting your minutes on the phone. I mean, they're valuable.
So when you get okay, yeah, no problem. I'll find out how to get in Discord and I'll hook you guys up. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, Kenshiro. Thank you for calling in, man. Contact Bucho on the chat. He'll help you out.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Stay safe, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, man. All right. Thank you for calling in.
Unfortunately, he had to go, but you mind if I jump in off of what his comments were?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So, he'd rather see the Brook fight. Now, where I usually do a lot of the boxing talking is over on Boxing 24, which seems to be an obsessed Al Heyman page.
Yeah.
And basically, in Crawford's case, according to those fans over there, this is a lose-lose situation between these two talks. Manny's 41 years old. If he wins, he's supposed to because Crawford's an elite fighter. He's not a Keith Thurman that took off 2 years. He's an elite fighter that's active. And if he fights Brook hasn't been at 147 since the Spence fight, which was almost 3 years ago. And then on top of that, he's 34 years old. So there's not a win-win situation for him to try and really get one of these fights to really make PBC say, "Hey, we've been avoiding this guy. We have to fight him now." Either one of those fights aren't really going to market him any from those fans' standpoints, from what I hear.
Yeah, it's listen.
Pacquiao win.
Go ahead.
Sorry, dude.
No, go ahead.
The Pacquiao win gets him the belt, and that gives him more a bargaining position for a bigger fight because he will become a unified champion. Against the likes of,
you're right.
Averroes. And the fact that Pacquiao's 41, going to be 42, and with the coronavirus, I mean, he's got a lot of ring rust. It's kind of a lose-lose for Pacquiao, but if you fight him after, let's say he fights Brook, then he takes some time off. This is Terence Crawford. Then they both get into training camp to fight again. Pacquiao's going to be 43. Okay, so he might as well fight fucking Pacquiao when he's 50. Because anything now that Pacquiao's doing at this age forward it's an accomplishment as it is. So right. I mean, for the sake of Pacquiao, it would be better for him to fight him first. But it's still lose for Pacquiao, like I said, because he got a lot of ring rust. But anyway, we're talking about Terence Crawford. Yeah, it's just hard to give him full credit for either fight against him and Brook.
But on the flip side, there's a lot of people that have either side where they think that Crawford Bud is for his nickname is running from the PBC when there's no proof of this. I mean, they say that he's running from DSG. Carl Moretti sent a contract over. Carl Moretti's a reputable guy. He said he sent a contract over. PBC's known for not showing all their fighters the contracts because the Charlo brothers had contracts from both Golden Boy and Matchroom, and nothing was returned from Charlo's camp. These are at least the accusations that are going out, and so now Carl Moretti, the reports between $3 to $4 million, which is more than Danny's made in his last 3 fights, or as much as he made his last 3 fights. No answer back. Mind you, Danny Garcia is the #1 contender for Bud's belt. So they
there's a lot of tough fights. Speaking about tough fighters, yeah, Danny's a tough fighter, but never been knocked out. How about Jesus, what's his name? The Cuban just escaped my mind right now.
Ugas.
Yordanis Ugas. He's just as tough as Crawford, as he showed against Figueroa, which he was able to bully the bully. I mean, this guy's a 140-pounder though, but still came up, fought him at 147. He was able to bully Figueroa, who's always coming forward, and he was able to do the same to Sean Porter, which I thought Porter lost that fight.
Oh,
I did too.
Yeah, he's tough. He's long. And he's cagey just like Crawford, so that's a tough fight, along with the Porter and the Danny that you.
And he's also 34 years old. So again, the people that are the Crawford haters, there's outside of Terence Crawford, outside of Spence or Sean Porter, his haters are not going to support anything outside of those 2 fights.
Well, listen, there's a lot to be said either way in this scenario. A lot of negotiating, a lot of talking in the press. We'll see what happens within the next 6 months. Hopefully, they start putting on more quality fights and we see the fights that we want to see. For the moment, let's continue with this presentation because I just got, again, more footwork here. Now, this one is a little bit more flashy from Crawford against the aforementioned Khan. Khan came in with his trying to shoot his 1-2s, and you see Crawford actually switch hitting there, or actually switching stances, and then doing something he does very well, which is he likes to toss people aside with his hands. He likes to control guys, just shove them aside and whoop, gets out of the way.
Well, he does there what I used to teach fighters back in the gym is when you flurry against the ropes and you want to push the fighter out of the way, you're not allowed to push. So throw a wide hook to the neck, shoulder, or the back of the head and cuff it and then spin off your front foot.
Uh-huh.
It's actually illegal, but if it looks like you're throwing a punch, they can't prove that you did it on purpose.
Exactly.
That's exactly what he did there.
He's a master.
I noticed that Khan for a silver medalist, for the level of fighter that many, because he's fast. I think that he rushes in like kind of recklessly, and I've seen that in him many times. I don't know if it's the fact that he's usually faster than his opponents, that he abuses his speed, and that he's getting older, that you can see Terence Crawford do that to him kind of simply.
Good point.
Just throw him out of the way.
The Roy Jones effect.
Like a bull. What's it called?
Matador.
Ushering a bull. A matador ushering a bull.
Yeah. By the way, I think we got Butcher on the line. Butcher, are you there? Oh, I thought he was.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up, man?
Okay.
Are you playing Jerry sounds?
It's my new sound.
It's
fine.
All right. Let's continue with this, man. So you again, Gonzalo, you brought up a good point, but Khan is still pretty fast, and he didn't quite hit Crawford as much as I expected him to. I expected Khan was going to hit him a lot early in the fight, and he couldn't quite do it. So this is just one of the ways in which Crawford was able to control Khan, shoving him aside and get the fuck out of here and forcing him to reset. This is against Beltran. Now here you see some beautiful footwork. If you watch the whole fight, there's a whole bunch of examples. Beltran at this point was about as close to his prime as he was going to get. And he couldn't catch Crawford in there, man. I mean, Crawford was about as slippery as he gets. This clip here is a little bit slow. Okay, but so you see him here. He jumps in with a hook, but he's already... See how he uses that back foot? He just pulls it back and then walks back and then pivots just to get out of the angle or create a different angle, and just made himself very slow. I think he switch hits too. Oh, no, actually, he was a southpaw. See that, guys? That back leg there. And he just continues galloping away like a horse a little bit. It's quite impressive. He floats. He seems to float and glide around the ring.
Doesn't he have an uncanny, physical resemblance to Thomas Hearns, BDA?
A little bit. I get what you're saying. There's an actor. Bucho told me about a movie called... what was it called? It's a comedy movie. Something Night. Bucho, what was it called? Date Night or what is it?
Game Night?
Game Night. Yeah, there's a guy in there. There's an actor in there, a black guy. Looks exactly like Terence Crawford. Hold on. Actually, I'm going to show it to you guys. Because it's... Why would I say it? Okay. I think he's been on TV or something, this guy. He looks like Terence Crawford. Yeah, listen. I'm going to show you the picture, and you guys are not going to be able to... There won't be any... Nobody will disagree. Hold on a second. What's this guy's name? If anybody knows who I'm talking about, black guy in Game Night, Lamorne Morris.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but he was on the TV show New Girl. My wife used to watch it all the time, and he does look just like Terence Crawford.
Now, listen, I can't share the photo here with you guys on Discord, but I'm going to put it up on the screen here on the YouTube. This is the guy. I'm trying to find the picture where he's actually looking forward. All right, that's him. That's Terence Crawford. Now, come on. Well, actually, now looking back at it, there's obviously some distinct differences. But the first time I saw him, the hair, the facial hair, with that haircut and the facial hair, I said, that's fucking Terence Crawford. Since when is he an actor?
Well, he doesn't look anything like him.
Can you put a picture of Thomas Hearns, BDA?
Tommy Hearns? Oh, yeah, maybe that one looks more like... Yeah, because this one...
like Thomas Hearns, I'm telling you. Maybe not in that picture, but in other pictures, he looks just like Thomas.
Well, no, the Tommy Hearns I grew up with looked like he needed to be on Coming to America with that soul glow stuff that's there.
Yeah, man. A little bit, Gonzalo. A little bit. Anyway, listen.
You got to have the goatee for him to look like either one of them. The guy you're referring to in another chick flick that recently came out that I watched with my wife. He had the actor you're referring to had a goatee, and there's a little bit of resemblance there. It's not a dead look-alike at all times, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at the photo. Actually, when you look at the guy moving and actually being alive, you get a sense like, whoa, is that Terence Crawford? But in pictures, for some reason, didn't quite work out. All right.
Nah.
So that's the footwork there. Here's more footwork from Crawford against Beltran. Now he lets Beltran get... He lets Beltran get very close and then just turns him. Smothers him and turns... Oh, shit. Hold on. All right, so you guys go ahead.
I'm correct. He's about to duck a body shot. He's ducking a body... Who ducks under a body shot? You know, usually block those. He's actually ducking underneath a hook to the body.
I think he thought a... Yeah, you're right, huh? Maybe he thought the left hook was coming upstairs. But look at this, how he's controlling the hand. See that? At the end, he's got his open palm over Beltran's, I believe it's his right hand, preventing him from throwing any shots. And he said, look at that. There, you see that? He likes to use his hands a lot to control people in the back of the head, top of the head, control their gloves.
In a way, here's something. Where's Terence Crawford from?
Omaha.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, right. Omaha, Nebraska, right?
Right.
Okay, appreciate it. Tell me another fighter that came from Omaha, Nebraska. What top amateur program comes out of Omaha, Nebraska? What top sparring do you get as a kid from Omaha, Nebraska to turn into what Terence Crawford is? You come from Detroit, it's understandable. You got the Trunk Gym, you got the history of it. DC area, Miami, there's a lot of good fighters, pro and amateur down there. What do you have out of Omaha, Nebraska to produce something like Terence Crawford?
That's a good point. It's like Kelly Pavlik coming out of nowhere. I mean, I know he didn't quite have the craft to sustain.
There's some boxing history.
No, you cut off there, Jay. You're cutting off.
What's ever come out of Omaha, Nebraska that makes you?
You know what? That's a nice trivia question, Butcher. You need to jot that one down, man. For my Wi-Fi. Butcher, are you telling me to restart my Wi-Fi? Or are you telling Jay that? Oh, Jay. Yeah, Jay, you just restart your Wi-Fi because sometimes you cut off, you were cutting off there pretty badly. But it's a good...
I think I'm back.
All right. But it's a pretty good question, right, Bucho? I mean, Omaha, you should put that one in the trivia for the next trivia show. Name some top fighters from Omaha. Just try to name them off the top of your head. That's a very good question right there. All right.
Well, I think Jesse Reed trains out of there. Even though that's not his trainer, so that could explain some of it. But the fighters he trained weren't from there. Roger Mayweather was never from Omaha, Nebraska. Neither was Orlando Canizales or Johnny Tapia, even though Jesse Reed trained all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to my knowledge, he wasn't training Terence Crawford.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre, man. So, I don't know what's going on there. But
he traveled in the amateurs. I don't know how many fights he had, but
well, supposedly he beat Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia, right, in the amateurs.
that's right. I think
Okay.
Mikey Garcia for sure.
So obviously he's pretty good, man. I mean, he's just a natural talent. Here you see him catching Beltran coming in. Beltran trying to change levels. Again, it's too slippery, Crawford. He slipped with some shots. He likes to use his shoulders too to hide from shots. They just slip from his shoulders. Let's look at that again here. Boom, catching him with a right hook. Lean back, ducks. Again, Beltran overshoots and just turns him. And he leaves him on the ropes. I mean, that's Beltran trying way too hard to chase him, and that's a solid operator there in Beltran, not being able to catch him. It's like you don't see that every day.
No.
Yeah, he'll even let some opportunities go from what I'm seeing now. He'll let some opportunities pass by in order to get you at a later moment where he wants. So that kind of like also stops the other fighter from countering you when you try to like take those opportunities which he's letting pass by.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm noticing that Crawford does.
That's true.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Now, sometimes those opportunities, he lets them go because, again, maybe he doesn't want to, but maybe he doesn't see them, or maybe he doesn't want to take advantage of them. I don't know, but it's true. There are opportunities there for him to counter. He's sort of letting them go a little bit. And by the way, Subash Kunwar in the chat room says, Precise has a great video about Crawford. Well, yeah, he makes very good videos, Precise, but he really dislikes Crawford for some reason. He doesn't respect his skills at all. And it'd be interesting to have him back in case Crawford fights a top opponent, see what he has to say about that. All right, more footwork here, again against Beltran. Here he's just changing directions, getting into the corner because he knows he's about to slide towards his right. Again, Beltran probably thinking, all right, good, I got him there. He's jabbing. Crawford changing levels. Feints. Boom, catches him with a left uppercut and continues to slide away. And look at Beltran there, having to turn, having to follow Crawford, always one step behind him. This is something that Crawford could be doing the whole fight, guys. Just running, but he doesn't usually choose to do that. He actually tries to sit down on his shots, as we're going to see later on, and plant some real bombs on his opponents. But against Beltran, I suppose
It seems like against Beltran, and again, this fight was a little while ago, so I'm remembering more of it now than I actually have it fresh in my mind, that he was going to try and set up a knockout later. He wanted to show his skills that night. He didn't want to show that he could just fight, even though that's what he'd rather do. He decided against a fighter that he knew was going to be tough, that knew was going to be in his face. Let him be in my face, and let me show the other side of what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And Beltran, he's a solid fighter. He's not great, but he's good. But he's tough, and he comes forward. And only the great fighters that make everyone come to them all the time are ones that will usually expose Beltran. Crawford decided, okay, I did my boxing, but I also came at Gamboa, and now I'm going to show him what else I can do. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. That's my interpretation of the way he took this fight.
Well, Beltran is a guy who took a little while to get going, but once he did get going, circa 2012, 2016, he was really on a roll. He was a dangerous guy, and he got tough by sparring Manny Pacquiao a lot. He was one of his main sparring partners. So hand speed and power is not something he was unfamiliar with. And I think Crawford in this one said, you know what? Why should I slug it out with this guy who's obviously got a penchant for doing so? Let me just dance around him. Show, like you said, show my skills. And look at how he puts his left hand on Beltran's face. He was blinding him a little bit. The dreaded fart hand too. That was the old high school move we used to do, farting in a hand and then putting it in somebody's face. But of course, this time it's more dangerous because he could have been turned into a punch. Look at that. Just last time we watched this clip so we can see how he actually blinds Beltran with that hand. Hold on. So he made him duck there. Boom. Then look at the hand. See that? Subtle moves,
could have caused a cut too.
Yeah, it could have laced him if you would have put the hand up a little bit more. The palm, rather.
Yeah, it shows you the fact he's got a little bit of class to him because most fighters would have laced.
Yeah, again, this is all going very fast in real time. We're looking in the slow motion, but it's hard to do all this in real time. I mean, it just shows you that he's very attuned to the action inside the ring. Now the counter punching. This is one of the mainstays of Crawford. This guy, that's why I always still think that if he fights Porter, I actually think he stands a good chance of stopping Porter, maybe hurting him more often than other guys are able to, because he wants guys to jump on him. And against Postal here, you see Postal shot the right. He leaned into the right, Crawford did, but then immediately cocked back just for half a second so that he could launch that left hand. Look at this. So he rolls into it, then he cocks back and then catches him. I mean, that's fucking quick, man. That is hand speed right there, or reaction.
Yeah, this is slow motion. He did.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I said, this is slow motion, so you can only imagine how fast that really was.
Exactly.
Did I lose it? Yeah. Okay. There we are.
And by the way, just real quick, on Rival in the Discord here is telling us, heads up, before Crawford, the best fighter from Omaha is Max Baer. Oh, so that's like about a couple like...
Damn, that hurts my feelings right there, because I'm usually the one that brings up boxing history like that.
Right.
He just taught us a good one.
I think you're going to meet your match with on Mark here, but yeah, man, that's about 70 fucking something years, man, in between these guys. By the way, Mark says he's going to be jumping back in about 10 minutes. Just to mention that the people in the chat are asking about boxers from Omaha, if there's any history. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thank you for the trivia there. All right, so
thanks, BDA.
Yes.
Give me a few minutes. I got to take a quick break, but I'll buzz back in a little bit.
Go ahead. Fantastic.
All right, thanks, buddy. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, the Pacquiao fight would be intriguing. Just like the Kell Brook fight. I think Kell Brook and Manny Pacquiao, to an extent, fight very similar. They throw a lot of punches. Manny Pacquiao darts in and out. Kell Brook punches off the fly, which is good. He don't load up. He just punches and starts letting his hands go. Yeah, he can load up, but he can punch off the fly.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see against Manny Pacquiao how, like I've noticed that Terence Crawford does lose his balance sometimes, but he's able to turn and catch fighters coming in like that. But if a guy's constantly turning you, will he be able to constantly turn himself? I mean, he might catch you, but will he constantly be able to turn himself? And then if you're fighting another left-hander, how would that versatility kick in?
That's a good point, man, because listen, with Pacquiao, man, and again, I know people disagree with me on this one here, but Pacquiao, I thought he was sort of losing it a little bit against Thurman late in the fight. He was getting turned, and he did tire out significantly. I think, looking back at the fight, I think a prime Pacquiao would have stopped Thurman. He would not have stopped coming forward and unleashing combos, but against Thurman, we finally saw him getting old there, I say, and slow down a little bit. I mean,
he definitely, like in the 10th round when he hurt him to the body, if that would have been a younger version, he would have capitalized off that.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. And Crawford, Thurman actually, no, I'm sorry, Crawford. Crawford he's comparable to Thurman, I think, in terms of hand speed and power, but the differences are, Gonzalo, and you tell me if you disagree with this or not, but he's got a better jab than than Thurman. Thurman is more of a pot shotter. He leans in with power shots, whereas Crawford actually likes to pop that jab. And also, I think Crawford is better at putting pressure than Thurman. And I think those things could really hurt Pacquiao down the stretch. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he can pivot better from what I'm appreciating on the screen. Yeah, he can turn it up when he wants. Thurman, he was good at moving side to side laterally, and that's how he generated power for his hooks. He moves side to side, generate kind of like a shifting power to his left and to his right, where he can load up on them hooks. But moving backwards, he was tailor made for Pacquiao, because you could hardly see Thurman ever moving backwards effectively. But this guy, I mean, he creates a lot of separation with his legs by moving. Changing the compass of his punching.
And I think we're gonna see later on he can counter better with straight shots. He's not just a Thurman tends to go a little bit too crazy with the power shots. Now here against Gamboa, just to highlight real quick, takes a little step back, leaning back to at the same time, and launches a right hook. Now, this is a little bit deceiving. This all the clips from the Gamboa fight, because Gamboa really very, very short. Now, here's the other thing. According to BoxRec, Gamboa is 5'5". So is Manny Pacquiao. So supposedly, according to BoxRec, that's how those two would look. That's the height that we would be seeing here between between Crawford and Pacquiao. Is that possible there?
Manny Pacquiao's like 5'7".
I think he's like 5 feet 5.5, maybe. I think Crawford's actually. I think Gamboa is actually shorter. I think he might be 5'4", but they bumped him up to 5 feet. Yeah.
He's like 5'6.5", maybe 5. I've stood right next to him, so I mean, I'm 5'9.25". He's not 5'5" necessarily. I think he's a little taller than Gamboa, but yeah, Gamboa looks like Tank Davis, really short.
Yeah, man. He's just,
do you remember the Tank Davis Gamboa fight? Who was taller?
No, I actually don't, man. But let me tell you, man, this Crawford-Gamboa fight, it was really a bit of a deception here because, Gamboa was catching him with some shots early on, but then once Crawford decided, okay, I'm going to make the shorter guy come to me, it became easy, and it allowed him to do a couple of things that he would normally not be able to do. Now, this is against Kavaliauskas. And notice again that this time, the lean back counter that I talked about, he leans back and then just springs back with a hard right. Now,
I really enjoyed that fight.
Yeah, this was a good fight, man, the Kavaliauskas fight. And this just shows you the wherewithal, like you said, Gonzalo. You need to have a cool head to be able to do this. Like, pull back with the hands down, not run away. When a guy like Kavaliauskas, who hits hard, by the way, he's a powerful dude. He's built like a tank. To be able to stand in front of him, lean back, hands down, and then counter and not run away. What do you think, Gonzalo?
For
what do
me,
you think?
I have a lot of faith in my intuition. It's like the eye test. For me, look, maybe Kavaliauskas doesn't have the best resume. A lot of people don't know about him. But before that fight started, PDA, I told to myself, this guy's fucking strong. Kavaliauskas, just by his body type, and just that's my perception. I thought this was going to be a good fight.
Yeah, so did I, man. But a lot of people were like, because they wanted to see Crawford in there against a Pacquiao or a Thurman or a Spence. So it was a little bit of a letdown. But I was looking forward to it. It was better than nothing. It was better than him fighting Khan, that's for sure. I thought it was better than him fighting Khan. Because Kavaliauskas is built like a tank, like you said, and he does come to fight. So I was curious about what was going to... I didn't expect Crawford to stop him, by the way. That's something that surprised me. Corruption in boxing says, BDA Bud Crawford refuses to fight his friend Porter. Holyfield stopped his best man from his own wedding in Henry Tillman. Maurice Blocker and Simon Brown were best friends and fought in unification. Yeah, that's true, man. That whole thing about we're friends. But I haven't heard, maybe somebody else can correct me, but has Crawford said that the reason why he refuses to fight the Porter fight hasn't happened is because they're friends, or? I haven't heard that. Maybe, wait, listen. Corruption in boxing would know more about it than I do, because I don't keep up with the behind the scenes things that much. But it's true, man. Listen, friends, most friends understand that boxing is a business, and for the right money, they'll get in the ring together and actually duke it out pretty roughly. And I think Crawford and Porter are no different. It's just they want to get paid to put their friendship aside for 12 rounds and duke it out.
That's right, especially when you got such a limited pool of welterweights.
Well, especially when they're in their 30s too. I mean, these guys. But I think Bucho would agree. Crawford's 32. Porter, I think he's 30. Let me see. They're not exactly spring chickens, man. I mean, they want to make money. They want to build a legacy. The time is now. Can't go around.
I agree. And I noticed from the Charlos that maybe they're stepping it up, just like Errol Spence is, because he's got a not such of a great resume himself. Although he's unified, he's stepping it up. Comeback fight against Danny Garcia. So we're kind of hoping the same thing from Terence Crawford. Now, do you think one of the reasons, BDA, is that he's being arrogant? That's why he's not fighting these guys?
Who's being arrogant? Crawford, you mean?
Terence Crawford, that ultimately that will hurt him.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's his promotional company. I don't know if it's Bob Arum and the other guy that his stepson or whatever he is. Maybe they don't want to do business with the PBC. I don't know, man.
if Crawford really wants to fight the best, and I know it's about money as well, right? You want to get paid, but now it's been years with Terence Crawford. Same story. It's been years. He's not fighting the top welterweights, and so at some point he has to make a decision, right? So he can take a pay cut and fight some of those other guys, but he doesn't want to take a pay cut, from what I understand. Right? Like what I'm basically saying is, if he wants a fight to take place, he can make it happen. But he doesn't want to do it.
Your point becomes even more pronounced because I think there's echo. Like we can hear a little bit of a delay in your voice. You talk and then there's... Yeah. But it's a good point. I mean, look, some of these guys, I don't know, I understand they want to get paid. I understand they're not going to be making this type of money once they retire. But I don't know, man. Make a compromise every once in a while. Compromise.
Do something. How old is the guy? Like you were saying, like 33, I think.
Crawford is.
I mean, come on. Like, what is he waiting for?
Crawford
is. The problem with him. The problem with him is that I don't know if it's the promotional companies that they don't want to do a co-promotion, having to split the money when he's not a big sale. But the problem with him is that look, Prograis left Luke DeBella. He's probably going to sign with Top Rank. And they got Ramirez, and they got Josh Taylor, I believe. These guys are going up to 140. They're going up to 147 soon. And if this guy keeps getting any older, like Butch was mentioning, he's gonna fight these really good guys, and he's gonna probably end up, I don't know if taking an L, but if he wins, he'll have a great resume by the time it's all said and done. But if he takes an L, it's because he waited out too long.
Absolutely, and it would be very disappointing, because the fact that, the reason why Crawford moved up to the welterweight division is because he was supposed to become the champion of the welterweight division, or at least challenge for the lineal title. He hasn't even done that. He's held that WBO belt. That's all he's done. And so imagine, like you said, Gonzalo, if he loses to these 140-pounders who are moving up, it'd be very disappointing. His career would be a huge disappointment.
Yeah, it would. And, it's not that taking an L is bad. It's just that you should have fought the guys in your division at the time.
Yeah,
to be considered the best, right?
Exactly. And
so let's bring up the valid point here that Sean Porter, when he won the WBC against Danny Garcia after Danny beat a featherweight and Guerrero, and the first words out of his mouth was, "I'm not going to call Bud out," and it was due to the fact they were supposedly friends. He loses his belt, and all of a sudden he's begging for a title shot because the PBC's gone through send him through their entire stable. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Danny Garcia is his number one contender. PBC's not coming to the table to negotiate that right. They fixed something to where he's not even the mandatory for Spence, and he's getting a title shot over there when he's beaten nobody of significance at the welterweight division. Spence said, "Win a title before I fight you." He wins a title. That was 2 years ago. He's still not challenged him to a fight. So as much as they can say that Crawford's not taking these fights, the PBC's done nothing to stand in line, call out, or challenge, or even send in any legitimate offers that we know of to fight Terence Crawford, but nobody's covering that. They're making it sound like he's running. So there's two perspectives to that. And he may be turning down some of these fights. Behind the scenes, like BDA says, we don't know the entire ins and outs, but Carl Moretti did send a contract to Danny Garcia's people, and that challenge never got answered. And
now we know why. And now we know why. Because they're going to have Garcia against Errol Spence Jr. But listen, at this point, Crawford should take a pay cut. Because in the situation in which he finds himself in, he's the one that needs to give up something, right? Because the PBC, they have all these welterweights on that side of the street. And Crawford obviously is over there by himself. So he's the one that has to take a pay cut if it comes to that. Right.
Well, in negotiations, that part can possibly come up. He's never even gotten to the table to be able to negotiate with Spence because they keep putting him on the back burner. Now, we pointed out that neither one of them are a huge. I would say that more than likely the bigger draw between the two is Terence Crawford. But Porter doesn't draw anything on his own. The most of the views in his last fight with Spence were because it was the unification fight with Spence being on the other side of the ring. So you put these two in the ring, they're friends. When Simon Brown and Maurice Blocker fight, there wasn't anything else going on. And it was an undercard to Tyson Rourke, so there was money involved in that. Holyfield Tillman, I don't know the ins and outs of that, other than Holyfield had majority of the belts, and Tillman was a top-ranked contender. I think he was number 1. So there was no negotiating there. The fight had to happen. This isn't the same thing. Porter is ranked number 1 by the WBC. He's barely ranked, if ranked at all, by the WBO. And so there's nothing to make this fight happen to generate any money. So they will both be taken. If they're going to put their friendship aside, they want to go ahead and get paid well for this. There's nothing that's going to drive that.
Would it generate more money than a Kell Brook fight?
Maybe, because you got to remember now we got to split promotion either way you look at it. And again, Kell Brook's not his friend. If they want to put the friendship aside and want to get paid, there's no factor for that for Kell Brook. There is a factor for that, for a possible factor that we're guessing for Porter, because they have both stated that they're friends. They've never said that's not the reason why they're not going to fight, but they've both said along the lines of we're the ones that are going to make that fight happen. In an article on Boxing 24 not too long ago, apparently they did talk and they decided they're going to go in directions. My guess is because there's not big enough money for them to fight. I'm sorry I talked too much.
Yeah, no, to me that's the reason why. And let me just read this comment from Corruption in Boxing. The PBC strategically does not have to send any offers to ESPN and Crawford, but re-signed with ESPN and displayed no interest. So yeah, do we blame Crawford for resigning with ESPN, knowing what in the situation in which he was going to find himself in later? Which is
did he know that was going to happen just because he signed with Bob Arum?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's like himself. I mean, the welterweight division is not with Top Rank, right? I mean, the big players are on the other side.
Maybe, but I mean,
I'm just asking a question. I'm just saying.
So some of the bigger fighters from 140 are coming up, and the bigger fighters moving up from 140 are going to be with Top Rank.
True.
And so, go ahead.
He's old.
But the fact that he's passing up on the Porter, the Errol Spence, Ugas, and
how's he passing up on Errol
Garcia's
Spence
of
when
the
no offer's
world,
been made?
it could be perceived as a duck because he didn't re-sign where the talent is. It lies within the PBC. So a lot of people always bring that point of contention.
Okay, so then let's look at the other side of how often the PBC guys have actually been fighting. They've been matched together. They've all been under the PBC since 2015.
Yeah, that's true. Took 5
years.
So
5 years, and now you add Crawford into the mix for another fighter, and now all of a sudden, would he have gotten all these fights by now? Or would he be on the shelf?
They didn't have it. That's a good point.
If their main agenda was Spence, if their main agenda was Spence, then Crawford's not getting everything because they're going to market what they want their Golden Boy to be like Golden Boy does with Canelo. So signing with them didn't mean he was going to get everything he wanted. He stayed with his promoter. That doesn't mean you don't get to make a fight with a guy.
I think by now the PBC should have learned after which fights? Andy Ruiz, that was on the zone, but that marinating fights doesn't work out too well for you.
No.
Yeah,
it worked out. It worked out in like 4 times. It worked out with Tyson Holyfield, De La Hoya Trinidad, Mosley Mayweather, not Mosley Mayweather. I'm sorry, Mayweather Pacquiao, and Hagler.
But that
Hagler
fight
Leonard.
was garbage by the end. By the time, I shouldn't use garbage, but it wasn't good. It
wasn't.
A letdown.
But
it was one of the biggest letdowns of the century. Money-wise, maybe, but the fans, we didn't benefit anything from it.
Well, you remember all the pre-mentioned fights that I had, with the exception of Tyson Holyfield, weren't that entertaining. But they milked them out, and they were huge financial successes. De La Hoya Trinidad was not as exciting as we thought it would be, with 2 5'10", 30-0, 25 knockout individuals that were fighting at 147 pounds. We didn't get those kind of fireworks at the record show.
Yeah, I don't recall that being like marinated though. I remember that during De La Hoya's time,
he was pretty fast.
Chavez and they would have like the Thunder versus Lightning, the fight of the century, and I think to myself, wow, we're actually getting these fights. I was like excited.
I mean,
De La Hoya Trinidad took probably about 3-4 years to make because De La Hoya won the title in 90 against Whitaker in either 96 or 97. They didn't fight till 2000.
3 years. No, 99. End of September 18th, 1999.
They fought in 99?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was 3 years. And in the meantime, De La Hoya was actually fighting decent competition in the welterweight division, right?
But my point of marinating between the two, it still took 3 years to do it.
True.
There was no real marination. Well,
I think it took its natural course. I mean, they both defended the title. Maybe it was a year too late, whatever, but that's not a lot.
Well, you
I mean,
gotta,
we're talking now Crawford and Spence.
They were still in their primes, right? Compared to these guys.
But that's what I was gonna say. De La Hoya and Trinidad were in their primes, 27.
Okay. That's
also,
a valid point. I guess my point is the fact since
time's running out.
Since 93.
But you gotta, guys.
Since
you guys
Trinidad
have
had
to
the
keep
belt since
something in mind.
93, and it took till 99 to make it.
You guys have to keep something in mind. Guys,
at.
can you hear me? Oh no, you can't hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
PDA.
Okay. Yeah. Just to say something, clarify something about De La Hoya Trinidad. De La Hoya won the title against Whitaker in '97, and then he fought Trinidad in '99.
Okay.
So he was. So, you know, he spent about the 98 fucking around fighting Camacho and Chavez, the rematch with Chavez. And then in 99, he went on a rampage, Corte, Obacar, and then Trinidad. I mean, he was trying to tear through the welterweight division. So it wasn't like, you know.
Different era, man. Different fighters. And you had Bob Arum and Don King working together.
I mean, come on. That's
the fact that it proves.
I think you're cutting off, man. You're cutting off. Yeah, you should restart your Wi-Fi, man, or turn on your data or something.
Someone was trying to call in. I just declined it.
Tell them to fuck off. All right. By the way, just real quick here with the Crawford thing here, we got power again. I've talked about the power. Now some people are gonna say, "Oh, come on, why are you showing him dropping Khan? Everybody can drop Khan." True, but it also highlights his counterpunching, which is something that we were talking about earlier. And again, it's just this time from the right-hand position. Boom, nice overhand right. And by the way, Khan is still pretty freaking fast. So for him to be able to counter him this way, and I was surprised at how Khan wasn't able to touch him up as much as I expected. I thought at least early on Khan was going to be doing some damage, and he couldn't. That was just a nice little left hook there. Look at Khan's legs there. Ooh, the right, the left leg, almost snapped in there. This is against Kavaliauskas. I think this is the first knockdown. An overhand right. Was he in the southpaw position when he threw it? Hold on, let me see. No. Boom, over the left hook, right on the temple. I think it was on the temple. And Kavaliauskas, he said, look at him. He's built like a tank. I know being like a bodybuilder type guy doesn't mean that you can have a chin, but he is a guy that walked through guys. And the fact that Crawford was able to push him back and then just drop him this way, the guy can crack, man. And look at, there's also a lot of follow-through in his shots. He puts his weight behind him. He's not just tapping and trying to get out of the way as soon as he hits.
Definitely.
This is against Jeff Horn. This is after he dropped him. See those double right hooks, uppercut, and then an overhand left. And then he continued. He drove into the ropes, and that's where the ref stopped the fight there. But you can see how he plants. That's the other thing. He plants his feet pretty wide, Crawford does. And there's different schools of thoughts on that. I know Tim Austin and Costa Zoo had wide stances, and they hit pretty hard. And I see this.
Yeah. That can't benefit you all the time, but he's definitely got a lot of mustard behind the shots. Yeah, I would agree too, B-Day, because the shorter you keep the distance between your legs, the more weight you got on them.
So you're saying
more the middle section of your body, it's got more power. Because the wider you spread your legs, the less heavier your body becomes. It becomes lighter. That's why I thought that Kovalev wasn't punching very hard, because he was keeping a real wide stance to keep Canelo on the outside for coming in and landing the body shots. That's why I thought his jab wasn't as effective in his right hands. But here you could see that Crawford keeps a wide stance and still able to generate power. Pretty interesting.
I think with the wide stance, he wants to keep himself in balance. Yeah, I've tried it a couple of times to punch with a wider stance, and yeah, you sort of, for me, that's it's my own personal thing. I think I feel more in balance than normal.
At least I used to try to imitate Costa Zoo.
Oh, you did?
You become a little bit lighter around the ass when you get your wide stance. You gotta fucking square up a little bit. Get a little bit of power under your legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not gonna do that with Spence though.
Yeah, against Spence, I don't know, man. That would be a shootout there. It'd be a good old-fashioned cowboy shootout. Now, here's a combo against Khan. He threw a left and then a right then position him to throw a nice uppercut to the body, right upstairs, another uppercut, and then a right hook to the body. And then Khan said, "Oh, that was low," which I didn't see as being too low. Again, left, right, overhand right, pushes him a little bit to the side, boom, uppercut to the body, right hook upstairs, another uppercut, and then that sets up the right boom to the body. He was starting to beat Khan up in there a little bit. I think that's why Khan decided, you know what?
Yeah.
After he got hit low, he said, "Yeah, let me."
That's why he quit.
But I'm still perplexed by this Khan Crawford fight because Khan usually he's got balls, man. He trades when he doesn't have to. He does like to shoot combinations and getting to exchanges.
Yeah.
Was Crawford that good that Khan said, you know what, screw this?
I hadn't seen that from Khan before. Bail out like that. He usually goes down fighting, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Maidana fight.
And the
He
Danny
survived.
Garcia
He
fight, how he
survived.
scraped himself off the canvas, right? Like 4 times.
You guys think maybe it was Virgil Hunter told Khan something from the corner, and maybe Hunter, knowing what was about to happen, said, "You know what, Khan, just pull back, man, just quit. We'll get him the next time." You know,
No, I don't think so. I think he read Khan's reaction that he wanted to quit, and so he played along.
What was that fight?
A lot of people say, "Oh."
Go ahead, Gonzalo.
A lot of people say, "Oh, well, he got punched in the leg. He didn't get punched in the nuts." But my thinking is maybe he punched him on the edge of the cup, where that cup pushed against his nutsack. That might have been where the cup actually pushed in. Still, yeah, I'm not sure what it was. Did he quit or he didn't?
We should analyze that a GIF of that final moment because this isn't it. By the way, this is from the 4th round, but still interesting question. Now we get to the weaknesses. Crawford's weaknesses, and this is where it gets interesting. This is where a lot of the criticism comes into play. First of all, lack of opposition. I don't have video for that, but that's been one of the main criticisms. He's vulnerable to overhand shots, and he keeps his hands down during exchanges. What do I mean by all of this? This is against the shorter Gamboa, and you can see how he constantly drops his left hand and leans back, because again, that's one of his main modes of defense, just lean back. But he puts his hands down and gets caught with those overhand shots from Gamboa. And this is just a little sample, by the way. So I have to wonder whether he's in a right-handed position or a left-handed. Pacquiao likes to he likes to wither you or distract you, confuse you with those straight shots of his, which are hard. And then every once in a while, he'll mix in an overhand left or even a right hook lately. He's been leading with right hooks. And let me tell you something, Gamboa was a hard puncher at 135. That's nothing compared to what Pacquiao is going to be bringing at 147. Look at that.
While still having the speed that most welterweights don't. Even
exactly.
as Pacquiao's is.
Exactly. Maybe not at 41 years old. He's not going to be able to sustain it for 12 rounds. But those first 6 rounds, man.
Did Crawford switch stance against Postol?
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, I know he spent most of it as a
not that
southpaw.
Much. I don't remember.
I think he spent most of it as southpaw, and in the beginning, maybe I think he might have been as a right hand. I think he started as a southpaw, actually. I don't have to rewatch that. But Cine Macias says Gamboa too open. Straight G Turo says Benavides tagged him also like that. He just had no power on that knee. Kenshiro says, I don't know what you can say, weakness, lack of opposition, because then you can say the same thing, potential for Triple G. And I like Triple G. Well, listen, not for nothing, but Triple G did fight the best available opposition, but he didn't have a Martinez, Cotto, or Canelo in there. So the guys don't want to fight him. And it's the same thing a little bit with Crawford. He's not. He doesn't have a fellow pound for pound right now. Fellow pound for pound welterweight on his resume. And now, so that's Crawford. They're getting hit with overhand rights. Here's another shot of him coming in. See, when he gets into exchanges, he punches with one hand and he doesn't bring it back. See that?
Yeah, that's what the fuck is that?
He does leave his hands down sometimes.
Well, completely.
And this is okay.
Well,
this is
in all fairness, Tank Davis leaves his hands down and squares up his shoulders too and gets away with it. It's when you find your Iran Barkley, i.e. Tommy Hearns, that you learn your lesson.
Yeah, exactly. It's So far, he's been able to get away with, even against, by the way, I guess Kavaluskas, we're going to see, I think I got some examples. He kept his hands low too. And that was against the big, strong welterweight. But you see here getting, and these aren't shots that he's willing to take. You know what I mean? This is obviously him overlooking defense. This is where he got hurt against Gamboa. Look at that. Why does he drop that left so low? I don't get it. Look at that. See there? He was gonna hit him with an uppercut and then decided, I don't know, whether not to throw it or maybe it was just a throwaway shot. But he kept it down. Look at that.
There's something different about this particular fight. Some people, when they get the moment like this and they want to prove their point, like Chavez against Evan Rosario, they're 100% on and they make no mistake. Some guys, like in this case, he was very anxious in this fight. He definitely wanted to prove a point because this was his coming out party. He was an unknown champion before this, and he probably wasn't going to get another big name shot if it weren't for this. This was primetime HBO against a top 10 pound for pound guy, and he went out to try and prove a point, and he risked it. And in risking it, he got caught with some shit. He took him, he came back, and he won, which is what great fighters do.
Was Gamboa ranked top 10 pound for pound at that time? I forget.
Well, I thought he was because this was his third weight class, and he'd already won the WBA at that just the fight prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I thought he was top 10 pound for pound, so I guess there's some fact checking might need to be in order. I swore he was top 10 when he was undefeated until Terence Crawford.
Well,
but he wasn't top 5, but I thought he was like maybe 9 or 10.
I understand your point about him wanting to finish the fight and look impressive, which is something that I can appreciate from him because he's not like those other guys that just want to pity pat and run away. But at the same time, he was getting caught a lot against Gamboa early on. And then he sort of started fighting off the back foot a little bit. That's when he was starting to get the better of Gamboa. But in these exchanges, I mean, there's just too many instances of him keeping his hands, not bringing the hands back when he's exchanging. And it's not just in 2013, it's recently here. Against Kavaluskas, notice how Kavaluskas he dipped, he changed levels, and then he came with the overhand right. And I think this is the problem in part with Crawford. He likes to parry shots. And in this one, I don't know what the hell he was trying to parry, but he dropped both hands and was wide open for a hook that clearly stunned him. I don't know how the ref didn't call that a knockdown. I guess he didn't think he was hurt by the right hand, but
well, I mean, especially when the body shot right after that definitely put him down. That was clearly a punch. So, the Crawford fan that I am, I have to admit the fact that this was definitely something that's going to raise questions, and especially with the Crawford haters, they look at this guy as a substandard fighter, overlooking the fact he's an undefeated power punching welterweight that was a 2-time Olympian, but he didn't have a belt. He's not a major player. And I guess everyone thought Crawford was supposed to handle him easily. And in some parts he did. But yeah, you're bringing up the point I was going to say earlier. Yeah, but that was back in 2000 when he fought Gamboa. And now you bring this up. This was just recently. This is his last fight. He's still making some of the same mistakes at times. So that can cost him against some of the guys.
Yeah, that's why I'm highlighting this, because I think we need to clarify and go back to how we described Crawford at the beginning of this analysis, which is that he's a boxer puncher, but he's an aggressive boxer puncher. He's got world-class footwork. He can slip out of corners like there's no tomorrow. But when it comes to keeping the distance this way, he likes to lean back and he likes to drop his hands. That's his weak point. Everything else is good, but this dimension of him, and he's been able to get away with it in the lower weights. He got away with it against Kavaluskas to a certain extent, but it's a weakness and it's there. And it's up to his future opponents to see if they can capitalize on it or if Crawford can correct it. Because you can't keep getting away with this too long against world-class opposition. No,
you're right about that. But my question in this particular case, with him being 32, Danny being almost 32, Spence is only not Spence. Porter's only a month older or younger. One of them is older by only a month. And with Spence having trouble making weight, the car wreck, and being 30, how many of them are going to? Those young junior welterweights, those are the ones we need to worry about. And of course, we're talking about the potential fight with Manny Pacquiao. Can Manny Pacquiao capitalize on this early? Because if it goes late, the odds are going to be in Crawford's favor.
Exactly.
So what welterweight can actually capitalize on this? Because I don't have any faith that Danny Garcia, even if he can capitalize on it, he's going to hit him in the face, and Crawford's going to brush it off like it's a feather. Not that Danny can't punch, but he has no power at welterweight, and Bud's too tough for that to bother him. Sean Porter is an overrated puncher. When's the last time he stunned, knocked down, or knocked out a fighter? He's one fight away from being under 50% knockout ratio. One you got to worry about that's outside of the topic of this page being Pacquiao would be Spence.
Yeah, or maybe Virgil
I
Ortiz.
think Garcia got power. Still got power, although he hasn't really proved it.
Against
His
anyone.
power was respectable enough at 40 that it carries to 147 for me, no problem. Just got to catch somebody. Got to get a good fight.
He caught
These
Porter
guys haven't
with
been
plenty of
necessarily
shots.
knocking each other out. The Thurmans, the Sean Porters of the world, when they fight each other, they haven't been knocking each other out. They've been all going to decisions, just like many fights have been going to decisions.
Look, I've said this on this show before in regards to Sean. All I need to say is Julio. Shit, I forgot his name. Julio Diaz. He had a shaky chin at lightweight, and he had to go 20 rounds with Sean Porter to get a clear winner. That tells you Sean Porter's power. He was not as strong chin welter lightweight.
Porter, not. Yeah.
Now,
just,
Danny Garcia, like you said, it's respectable power, but it's not knockout power. And Keith Thurman, since he got to the world class level, his knockouts have been hard-working or non-existent. The only one that's really kept the power all the way through so far has appeared to be Spence.
Yeah, that's a good point. But let's not get too caught up on the power, though, because, I mean, if he can get hit here and a guy hits him, often enough and Crawford can't hit the other guy back enough, that's enough to lose a decision. Yep. So it's just highlighting that. And also, here's a slower look at that overhand, right? Was it the same one, I think it was. It was the same one. I think there's another clip after this. Hold on a second. Yeah, because then he caught him there, clinch, and then he hit him with a short left, which didn't help. Okay, that's the same one. Now here you can see him. Kavaliauskas went for the right hand. He didn't throw it, but look at Crawford's right hands. I mean his left hand, or even the right one too, with both hands. Like he's too comfortable on that lean back. Like he thinks he's out of the way, but it's a dangerous tactic, man.
Ask Donald Curry about it against Mike McCallum.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's
he's a little awkward, like Miguel Vasquez, the guy that fought freaking Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
He's kind of like long in the arms and it's awkward, and it's hard to hit cleanly, even though when he's being defensively and responsible. But yeah, he ultimately paid the price because he can get hit. Kind of easy.
Yeah, I don't like seeing those hands down. Now here against Felix Diaz, the Diaz performance was one of the sharpest Crawfords I've ever seen. I mean, he just schooled Diaz from all angles, but sometimes when he was turning, he would do so with the hands low or extended, like you see here, because he was fighting a shorter man, so he tried to control him by extending his arms like there, but he leaves himself wide open there, and Diaz didn't really catch him all that much. It was, like I said, Crawford was very sharp in here. But again, Diaz, according to BoxRec, he's like 5'5" or something like that. Very short compared to Crawford. So Crawford could get away with those things where he might not get away with it against guys like a Benavidez, taller, was able to catch him with unexpected shots.
Yeah.
Now
so the question of this particular night is, since Diaz is a bit shorter, is Manny going to have more success than Diaz did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that remains to be seen. Although Pacquiao,
at this stage, the Manny Pacquiao that fought Miguel Cotto rules this welterweight division with an iron fist, and none of them beat him, including. But this isn't the same Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, man. I mean, first 6 rounds, man. First 6 rounds. That's what you got to watch out for against Pacquiao right now. After that, you might get a shot. This is against Kavaliauskas again. He's coming in. Crawford is. He comes in with a jab, tries to set up the left hand, and eats a right, and then he's wide open. Right, his head doesn't move. That's the problem. He just comes in there, stays there, too intent on looking for a good shot, and boom, eats another overhand right. Took it well though. Got to give him credit for his chin.
It's surprising because he's got like a pencil neck. Terence Crawford, his neck is kind of skinny in proportion to the rest of his body.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that he takes a punch as good as he does, but some will question the quality of competition.
Sorry about.
But yeah, that's a good point. The skinny necks like that usually. I mean, Tommy Hearns had a skinny neck.
Funkritis in the chat room says, hey, about Spence's power, it's a bit overrated. He went 12 rounds with Mikey trying to knock him, but couldn't. Yeah, that's a subject for another episode, but it's true, man. Maybe Spence's power is a little bit overrated. He tried to get Mikey.
Could be. He didn't fight too many contenders before there people were crowning him as a pound for pound guy before he even fought Brooke. So right. I kind of am on that bandwagon of he kind of got crowned a little bit too quickly. But he did floor Sean Porter. He did break the eye socket, the other eye socket of Kell Brook. So those aren't feathers in his gloves.
Exactly. Yeah, he can crack, man. He did stop Algieri, but then again, some people later on in this program said that Algieri had knee problems, I think, or one knee had a problem. So I don't know. It's look.
Algieri had been down before by other fighters, smaller guys. So stopping him was the impressive. Hurting him was not. He'd been hurt. He'd been hurt by Provodnikov. Manny floored him 5 times.
Yeah, something
and
like
so there's a precedent of him already going down regardless of knee problems.
Yeah. Errol Spence got heavy hands, and he could certainly correct very hard to the body with both hands. He could belt you with the right or hit you with the left. He's a left-hander. And he just took the fight out of Mikey, even though he didn't stop Mikey. Mikey's offense was nothing compared to what it is against other fighters, and that tells you that Errol Spence got firepower.
Yeah, you can hear his shots, man. When he cracks people to the body and all that, and you hear those shots like against the Lamont Peterson fight. Guy's got power. Now, if you thought he had the Deontay Wilder type power, then of course, yeah, he doesn't have that one, especially against solid opposition. But he's a very good puncher. He's above average puncher. But I was surprised at the fact that he couldn't stop Mikey Garcia.
It's a double-edged sword there. He's fighting a natural featherweight, and he can't stop him. But I think people need to realize that this actually speaks more to the volumes of Mikey Garcia than it does of Errol Spence, not to diminish Spence's win. This is an exceptional thing when a featherweight can test the best welterweight of the world for 12 rounds and survive against him, even when he's trying to knock him out from a distance. He didn't fight inside on him. He didn't really work the body very well. But he had leverage on those shots. He was turning those shots all the way over. And again, a featherweight was able to go 12 rounds. Double-edged sword. But that speaks to me more to the volumes of how good Mikey Garcia really is versus what Spence couldn't do.
They were about to stop that fight. His father said, yes, stop it. But Robert and Mikey, decided to continue. 10th round, he got hit with the body shot. They were about to call it.
He did. Spence did try in the later rounds, but couldn't quite put him out of there. Now, here you have Crawford against Hank Lundy. Another fight in which, again, he stopped Lundy, but again, Lundy quicker hands than perhaps expected. And here Crawford overshot. Crawford likes to do that from a southpaw stance. He likes to throw a lead left hand and then an overhand right there, but he gets too close, doesn't move the head, and gets positioned for a left hook that made him jump up in the air there. But I gotta say, he's got a strong mentality because he doesn't seem shook up too much from the shots. He gets hit flush in the head, but he keeps coming. You know what I mean? He doesn't let it
back to that dog that I was talking about. That he's just got that toughness. That Hearns. I know I talk a lot about different fights from different eras, but Hearns hit Hagler with a hell of a right hand that would have knocked almost anybody else out, and it turned Hagler sideways. Hagler's mentality was, "I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to send me out." And there may be someone that proves that Terence wrong on this, but he has that same mentality. You're not going to send me out. I'm not going anywhere. And that's why he may get hit, but he's usually not worried about it because he has confidence that he's tough enough to take anybody's shot.
That's why I was so hyped up to see Spence versus Crawford, because Spence has that same thing inside of him. And it would have been a great fight. But now with Spence, with the car accident and the video of him with guns and his tits out, it doesn't look good, man. I don't know. We'll have to wait to see how Spence looks against Danny Garcia to evaluate whether that fight is still viable. But like you said, Crawford, he does have that dog in him. He wants to go in there and stop guys. He's got a mean streak inside of him, very competitive. And that's what makes him, that's what allows him to stop guys, whereas other guys would just settle for a decision. Now,
and that's why I think some of the PBC staying away from.
a good combination puncher like Kavaliuskas, but another guy that can punch with power. See how he reacts to 2 shots. A lot of these clips, you see him getting hit by an isolated punch, and you can see that he's rocked, he's hurt, and he can get away. But against a good combination puncher, who can land 2 good shots on him in tandem, see how he reacts to that.
That's a good point.
But
at the same time, based off his boxing IQ, we're under the impression that since he likes to keep control of the ring, that he doesn't allow him to get hit by. So the combination openings may not be there.
Yeah,
he isolates his opponents to where they only get 1 shot at a time.
It's going to be hard to catch him with combinations for sure. Now, here Khan shoots tries to shoot straight shots in here, and he was able to catch Crawford. Crawford was backing up, and then just as soon as he wanted to circle away, he got caught with something. So that backing up with the hands,
like a left hook.
Yeah, backing up with the hands down is not a good idea, especially early on against Pacquiao, because this was some of the last clips I got here. This is when Pacquiao dropped Thurman. Thurman does something similar to Crawford, in which he relies on his reflexes to get away with his legs, hands down.
Yeah.
And against Pacquiao here, Pacquiao changed levels, shot to the body, and then boom, overhand right upstairs. Here's a 1-2-1, boom. And that's where Thurman learned to keep his hands up. I think, you guys tell me what you think. I think Crawford should keep his hands up early on.
Yeah, of course.
Not to be disrespectful, I think everyone should keep their hands up.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm saying especially against Pacquiao, because I mean, guys, almost everybody that steps in there with Pacquiao, they think, okay, he's shorter, I'm gonna keep him away. This is the distance, and then boom, he closes distance quicker than they anticipate, and before they know it, they find themselves in the ground or stunned.
He's Gamboa 2.0. Hey, what was it? Gamboa had a bad ankle against Tank Davis. Well, Pacquiao is a nightmare when it comes to ankles. He got the ankles.
Yeah, he's got those fucking Asian calves.
He's got those
Asian calves. He's got those tank legs, but on the flip side, remember in the second 2 fights against Bradley said, well, I hurt my calf in this one, I in the other. Yeah, you hurt him because Manny Pacquiao hit you and staggered you to where you pulled.
Exactly, yeah.
Not only does he have the cankles himself, he hurts legs by hitting you in the chin.
It's amazing. It is amazing. In the next show, I'm going to show you a couple of clips of, because again, I referenced that video there from the, I forget which YouTuber it was, but he made a video called Terence Crawford, the fighter without a guard. Lately, he has been showing a guard, Crawford that is, and I wanna maybe explore that in the next episode. But suffice to say that these are those are the clips that I had so far. Again, you see a lot of good things from Crawford. This is what I like about this is it gives us a chance to talk about Crawford as a fighter, highlight what makes him good, some of the weaknesses as well, but also it gets rid of the BS, because a lot of people like to say Crawford sucks, or Lomachenko sucks, he's never beaten anybody, this and that. My fighter would clean mop the floor with him. Okay, now we got clips here. We're looking at both sides of the issue here, the strengths and the weaknesses. Come on in and tell us what you think. But now people, I think people prefer to bicker about my guy. But then when they actually have a chance to have some evidence here and make your case, most people don't want to. But guys, what do you think about Terence Crawford and Pacquiao? I mean, is this a fight that would be entertaining? Is this a fight based on what we saw? Or would Crawford be too much for him and you'd rather not see the fight?
I'll see the fight because Pacquiao's always been in a competitive fight. Somebody mentioned, Pacquiao's been knocked down to the chin like 4 times. No, he hasn't. Only been knocked out to the chin 1 time. The first 2 fights against Drustico Torrencampo and Sursi Ketsurensat, he lost to the body when he was about 16 years old. Other than that, he's only been KO'd 1 time.
Starving teenager.
Yeah, and the 2 fights that he that they robbed him, I mean, he was competitive in those, so he's always in a competitive fight. Why would it change now? You might say because of the age, but he was able to become the oldest welterweight champion. So I mean, he's still showing us that he's a capable fighter. But anything that he does from here on is impressive. and kind of will raise a question just because he's a small guy. And when does like a small fighter ever have a long career that you wouldn't have to speculate that Manny Pacquiao would be any different? Father Time doesn't forgive anybody, but still, I would want to see that fight because, like I say, he's always been competitive, and I would give Pacquiao a good shot within the first rounds. And even if it went into the later rounds, I think Pacquiao would maintain his composure, and not because he's gassed out, but like he did against Broner, he would be able to pump on the brakes when he needed to and press on the accelerator when he wants to. But that's to remain to be seen. What type of performance he would turn up on that night.
Mm-hmm. Hey, great points,
I'll
man.
piggyback off of this with what he's saying, which is everything is spot on to a certain point of view, so long as certain factors don't happen. So why is Mayweather one of the biggest draws? Why is Manny Pacquiao one of the biggest draws? They fought Oscar De La Hoya. That launched them into a higher level. All these other guys throughout boxing haven't had something like that to launch them. This is Terence Crawford's chance to... am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, something happened on my phone. This is Terence Crawford's chance to get his De La Hoya, to launch him into the next level. If he wins this one, it could actually put him where he wants to be as a major player for a draw standpoint. Having said that, I think he's going to do his homework. He's going to go in. Manny's going to have his moments. Manny. Everyone said that Mayweather shut him out. He still won 2 rounds by staggering Mayweather in those 2 rounds in the 4th and the 6th, I believe. So even in a fight that he's supposedly got completely outclassed, he still stunned a guy in 2 rounds. So Manny's never out of a fight. So he's going to be there. But I think Terence, and I'm a huge Manny fan, I'd be pulling for him in this fight, but I think Terence is going to say, this is my moment. I'm better than all these other guys at the welterweight division, and I'm going to prove by winning this fight tonight. And he's going to make some mistakes. He's going to get caught because it's Manny. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to dial down, double down, and force the fight in the later rounds when he thinks Manny's going to wear out. As my counterpart said, in the later rounds, is he going to have the gas to be able to push Manny to that limit to where he won't be able to keep up the pace?
You guys made very great points, especially Gonzalo, when you said, look, this guy's been a smaller guy. He's come from the lower weights, which is usually where people burn out, and he's a welterweight now, 40-something years old, still going quick, still going strong, I should say. Jay, you mentioned a great point here about Pacquiao and Crawford. How long can he last in there? I mean, that's the main question. That's why in the next episode, we're going to be taking a look at Pacquiao's recent fights. Obviously, we're not going to go back to 2015. I'm going to try to keep it to the Vargas, Broner, and Thurman fights. And we're going to see what he's got left, what some of the weaknesses. And by the way, I see T-Tone Toledo in the chat, and Box are getting into it in the chat room. Guys, like Bucho says in the chat room, kumite, kumite, kumite. We need a kumite between Box and T-Tone. It's got to happen. Right, Bucho? He's still there? Oh, he's here, but...
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying in the chat. Listen, guys, let's settle it on the kumite.
Kumite.
Sacred ground.
Yeah, Bucho,
Speaking of kumite, that guy that called in the singing Andre Praise in the Triple G conversation last, I'd like to address that on a kumite with him. I don't know who it was. I don't know if he's just a caller or a member.
Oh, Dead Game?
Yeah, so I called in right when I wished Carlos Monzon a happy birthday, and then I had to peace out. So I didn't get to finish that debate with that gentleman.
All right, we can set that up.
I was curious about that because I made a comment. Monzon is dead. Excuse my ignorance, but I'm just curious. Why would you wish somebody happy birthday if they died? I'm just asking nicely. I'm wondering.
Well, to be honest with you, he and I have the same birthday, and we were talking about middleweights. So when I mentioned happy birthday and being dead, I guess there's an irony there that sounded kind of dumb in hindsight. But I was bringing up the fact that that very day was the day of his birth.
Yeah, you can.
And we were talking about middleweights. So
I think it's like anniversary, Bucho.
Yeah, it's anniversary. Exactly. I was gonna say that it's not birthday. You say when was George Washington born? Or his anniversary is.
That's the end of that shit for me.
But again, we're talking about middleweights, and it was the day of his birth, so I figured to bring it up. And then, of course, I didn't get to finish my point, so I kind of took away from everything else.
So what was the point of contention between you and that game?
Well, he was going off, and everyone's saying that Andre Ward, not Andre Ward. Triple G never fought anybody. First of all, they don't analyze his quality of competition, and he fought the best that was around. Cotto, Martinez, and even Canelo. Canelo gave up a belt to not fight him. Andre Ward called him out. The time that Andre Ward called him out, he was an inactive fighter who was injured with no representation. So was that really a valid call out? He had no promoter. He had no manager. He was an injured fighter. He hadn't fought in over a year. And when he did come back, he came back at light heavyweight. So was that really like a valid call out that a real hardcore boxing fan should be honoring? Or was that just something that a casual picks up?
Yeah,
I didn't buy into it.
Too many people get hung up on the call outs. Oh, he called him out and the other guy didn't accept, so it's a duck. That's a good...
You know what? If the call out doesn't have a contract with it, then it doesn't freaking matter.
Exactly. Hey, look, I think that's a good kumite right there. Box versus T-Tone and Jay versus Dead Game. Let's make it happen. By the way, Virtuoso in the chat room says, it's better than wishing somebody happy death day. Yeah, that's a good point. You don't want to go around wishing people happy death day.
Well, he didn't die on August 7th. He was born that day.
Right. But I'm saying it's better than... Yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo.
And you know what? You know one thing too, guys. I have to mention this, and I brought it up a few times. It might sound like a broken record, but people forget. I think that Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, is still a champion right now, and he's got the IBF belt.
No, it's true.
But it's true, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, because he was a unified champion, almost an undisputed champion, this is like a step back, right? But you're right, he's still a champion. I mean, look at Charlo, right? He's holding the WBC belt, and they're making a huge deal out of it. Well, Golovkin also has a belt, right? So he's on par with Charlo.
And it's an American sanctioning body, the IBF, for all the Americans that want to hit on him.
Yeah, an American sanctioning body for a foreign European fighter. I've got to say something.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's true. I mean, listen, people love to hate, and that's why we're trying to set up this little platform here with the GIF analysis, because we want to show people, look, here's the proof, here's the video footage. You think this guy sucks? Tell us why, or tell us why we're missing. That's why I encourage people to, on the comment section of this video, leave us comments about what do you want to see, which fighters do you want to see, specific times of or rounds where a guy got hurt, something we missed. And you tell us, and also give us suggestions about which type of comparisons you want to see. So we got Inoue Casimero might happen down the line, so we could do one on that. Maybe on the heavyweights, some of the top heavyweights. Yeah, you let us know, and we'll work on it for sure. All right.
No keyboard warriors allowed. Call in with your comments. We're allowed to hear.
Right. That's right, and call in, yeah, because I mean, we got the phone lines open here. We got StreamYard as well, so you better call in and let us know. Otherwise, I don't want to sound like one of those boxing fans, but I'm gonna have to consider that one a duck. All right, don't duck. All right, listen, fellas, anything else you want to say before we go?
Thank you for letting me be part of the panel. I loved it. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime, man. Thank you for being on. You too, Gonzalo. Really appreciate it, man.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was fantastic. I really liked it, man. Really enjoyable. This is fun, man. This is fun. And
how can that be it? Like we are in the middle of a movement here.
I know, but we gotta go. Sorry, we gotta go. We've been on here for about 2 hours, close to 2 hours. Yeah, just about. So
same time, same for Kumite. That's usually what, on Fridays.
Depends. Usually Bucho sets them up in advance, so if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you get a notification of when we're going live.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. I'm gonna be out of town for a little bit, so I'll keep an eye out. But I'll look forward to that one.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And again, thank you guys, Gonzalo and Jay, for joining in. Mark too. He never came back, by the way. But thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Let us know again, guys. Pacquiao Crawford. What do you think? What did we miss? Give us some timestamps of specific moments from their fights that you want us to look at and say, look, this guy does this guy does that, this is what's going to happen. So again, let us know, guys. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify. We are now on Spotify. Better sound, less compressed than what you would hear on Spreaker. Don't forget to donate via the Super Chat feature. Just as we're about to go, you can also do it via the PayPal page or the Patreon page. The most important thing, of course, is that you keep contributing here, subscribing, commenting, listening. Thank you, guys. Always appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Thank you for watching.
I'm out. Have a good night, BDA.
You too, man. Take it easy.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Totally fucking
Disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He's just being a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. Lobito! You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.